This video is all about the land summary tab on your EWCO application form. This is section 3. The section at the top, all in grey, has all of the information about this land summary tab. It also includes any links at the bottom you can see to our land information search, our magic map, and others that you will need. So ultimately, this tab is all about an overview of the land on which you are going to be creating your woodland creation project. The first column is the central grid reference and your compartment reference. You need to do a different line for each compartment, but you can then add a identifier or a reference number at the end. You can see there that 1A is the one that has been picked, but this can be numeric, or perhaps if you plan on that compartment of woodland to have a name, for example, Poppy's Wood or Bella's Wood, then you can just use that instead. Next, we need the gross area of the compartment that you want to create the woodland on. The best way to get this is to go to our land information search, type in where your land is, click on measure, click on area, and then left click around the compartment that you would like. And ultimately, this needs to be done for each compartment. The next column is the current compartment land use. This is a drop-down menu, so it has a pre-selected list. Click what currently the land is being used for there. Next, we have the proposed percentage of integral open space. This is different depending on the size of your application. So for applications that have a proposed woodland creation size of 5 hectares or less, we would suggest a minimum of 10% open space. And then for any woodland creation applications over 5 hectares, we would suggest a minimum of 20% open space. This open space requirement is linked with any additional contributions that you might want. All of these have design requirements, and so you may find that if you're applying for certain additional contributions, you may need to have more or less open space. This is something that you can discuss with your woodland officer when you meet them out on site. Next, we're going to look at natural colonisation. So natural colonisation can be accepted through EWCO, but it might not be appropriate for all applications. For further information on this, then we do have the Natural Colonisation Suitability Assessment form. Please do have a look at this because it finds all sorts of information on the assessing of whether natural colonisation is appropriate for your project, and then ultimately gives you further information to discuss with your woodland officer. So in this section, we want to know all about what the current soil type is. So if you're not quite sure what this is, then you need to go to the application called Soilscapes on the Land Information Search. Put the location of your site into the search bar, left click on the site location, which then tells you detailed information about that site, and that will tell you the soil type. Then pick your soil type from the drop-down menu. Again, there's a pre-selected list. We will need you to confirm this. The best way to do this is simply to go out on site and dig a soil pit and record your findings. If you're not quite sure what your soil pit is telling you, then do take a photo and then show that to your woodland officer, who will be able to help you identify what your soil type is. The next column K, asks about your proposed cultivation technique. Now, it's important to make sure that this cultivation technique is appropriate depending on your soil type. So we want to make sure that you're using the right cultivation technique. And so in order to do that, we do need to make sure that that soil type is correct. So do put that in there. Again, it's a drop-down menu and it gives you some options. Hand screefing only is there, but you can also do deep ploughing, agricultural ploughing. Perhaps you'll have no ground preparation at all. Do put in your findings in there. And again, if you're unsure, then you can always discuss this with your woodland officer at the application when they come out to do your application site visit. The next section is all about designations. So this includes things such as a SSSI, a Site of Special Scientific Interest. Perhaps your land is in a national park. Perhaps there is an area of outstanding natural beauty either nearby or you are inside that. Or perhaps it's a scheduled monument. So it's very important that we are able to identify if there's any statutory designations on your site, because this will affect your woodland design. This can all be copied over from the other part of the EWCO application form, the Woodland Creation Plan 3 constraints. You can see that at the bottom of your screen now. You can identify further information in there and just copy it over to here. Final part of the application form is about agri-environment agreements and whether there are any pre-existing agreements on your land. It's very important to make sure that there are no environmental agreements already in place, because this may make you ineligible for EWCO. So those kind of agri-environment agreements might be environmental land stewardship, higher level stewardship, countryside stewardship. It's all about risking dual funding and any competing objectives. If you are aware of any schemes, then just simply put in yes there, and then put in what type of current grant scheme there is, the reference number, and then the expiry date of the agreement. This all can be found in any original application documents that you might have. There's also an extensive section in the EWCO grant manual that talks about dual funding, so do have a look at that if you're worried.